Hello, and welcome to the high-level overview of Stapp, the inventory management, order management, and manufacturing app from Apptituda, designed to extend the core functionality of Sage Financials. In addition, Stapp Financials is always shipped with Stapp to ensure that all transactions in Stapp are correctly reflected in the appropriate nominal ledger accounts in Sage Financials. Stapp will dramatically improve the efficiency of your inventory management, order management, and manufacturing processes in combination with Sage Financials on the Salesforce platform. Apptituda, the owners of Stapp, are a Sage Financials implementation and integration partner. We provide specialist Salesforce and Sage Cloud services. We have a headquarters in the UK with offshore teams supporting us. We're also a Salesforce product development partner and a Sage Financials VAR partner and a Stapp ISV champion. We can provide a seamless end-to-end process from order right through to shipment, including all the manufacturing processes. So you can have your warehouse receiving goods from the manufacturing facility. You can track the inventory, stock, consumption, assemblies, and all of the order-related information. And this can be distributed through partner communities and e-commerce portals. And within our overall Stapp app, we are supporting order management through to packaging and then through to shipping. If we look at it from this perspective, we can see the so-called external inputs will be the opportunity in Salesforce, for instance, or an e-commerce platform such as Shopify or Magento. And these will integrate with the Stapp order inside the Stapp app. The Stapp app is also Stripe enabled, so we can take credit card payments directly into the Stapp order environment. Once the order has been created, it moves forward into packaging. In the packaging environment, we can support integration with scanners, and that then moves forward into shipping. Within the Stapp environment, we have custom pricing, we have backorder handling, and we also support batch numbers, expiry dates, and serial numbers where they're required. The system's based on first in, first out stock rotation and valuation, and that ensures system integrity where we're posting cost of sales and consumption postings directly into the Sage Financials environment. As we move through from order to packaging to shipping, the final transaction, when a shipment is moved to either shipped or delivered, will create a sales invoice automatically in Sage Financials. So Stapp, within the order environment, is giving us stock reservations, due dates by order line. We can split order lines into multiple shipment dates. We have back orders, custom pricing, price band pricing, and we can identify specific pieces of stock which can be specifically shipped to specific customers. Within the packaging environment, we allocate the stock and we create packages. And as we move through, those packages can then be consolidated if there are multiple packages for one customer and sent in one shipment with one carrier. We can also support carrier integration, and under the hood, we're able to calculate appropriate carriers based upon weight and volume and pricing. Within the purchase order, goods receiving, purchase invoice environment, first of all, the process is started using the purchase order from Sage Financials. That purchase order is then created, and the transaction number from the purchase order is used during the goods receiving process for Stapp. We have a grid entry, very fast entry of goods received, integration with scanners as necessary, and then once the purchase invoice is received, the accounting postings will be tied up, and typically a goods receipt process would result in a posting to stock and posting to accrual of goods received not invoiced, and a purchase invoice would typically reverse that accrual and post to creditors control as well. Within the overall environment, we also support bill of materials, and of course all the normal elements that we talked about before in terms of serial numbers, batches, expiry dates, quantity, and the cost price here is recorded at goods receipt time, and that is the price from the original purchase order. I'm going in a few moments to give you a short presentation of the live system. When we want to actually talk to us, then please either contact Stuart Mills or Nigel Druick on the telephone at Apptituda, or send an email to either of these email addresses, sales@apptituda.com or presales@apptituda.com. So first of all, looking at the system as a whole, we see within the Sage Financials environment, what we're looking at here is the configuration of journal types. And this is just to give you the reassurance that within the standard journal type maintenance, we've introduced a number of new journal types which can be configured as you wish, and these will support all of the various transactions that Stapp is initiating. So you'll see a number of elements here that are flagged Stapp Financial. So we have things like goods that are consumed in manufacturing, consumption of stock lines, goods receipts, and stock adjustments, general stock adjustments, credit notes, etc. So we have about another 10 additional journal types that you can configure as you wish to support the integration between Stapp and Sage Financials, preserving the integrity of the financial data within the whole system. Looking at the first process from purchase ordering, here we see a typical Sage Financials purchase order screen. We can see here that we are buying some products from a supplier called Tool Manufacturing Inc. The products that we're looking for here are 50 brick trowels and 25 spirit levels. This demo system is set up as a building supplies company, so we're looking here at building supplies. And typically these are the products that we're going to be buying. So once that purchase order has been created and a TD number has been created, we then move across into the Stapp environment. We use that TD number here to identify the purchase order, and we go into goods receiving. Having identified the vendor, we can nominate a particular stock receiving site, we can capture details of the delivery note, and then on entering the TD number, the original purchase order will come up with the line items and the ordered quantities and the remaining quantity to receive, and those quantities can then be entered here. And as we go in, you just literally put in the receiving quantities, any particular store's location, and bin number, and then if we want to, we can put in a lot number and an expiry date, but that isn't absolutely essential. And at this point, those goods will now be in stock and they'll be available for sale, and a journal will have been kicked off into the Sage Financials environment, which will ensure the financial transactions are treated correctly. Once the goods are in stock, we use the full gamut of reports that are available in the Sage environment. So, for instance, for a stock take, we can make a report of all the current stock. We can filter that by store's location or bin or zone, and we can either create that report with quantities or without quantities, so that we can actually then distribute that for people to actually go and do the stock checks, record what they think is actually there, and then compare that with the stock that the system thinks is there. and the stock controller can then make the appropriate corrections using the stock adjustments module. Furthermore, we have here another simple report where we're comparing the minimum quantity against the available quantity, and we're then using that to determine items that are below minimum stock quantity, and we can automatically then use the reorder quantity to reorder those particular products from those suppliers. So as we go through the system, we're using the data that we're accumulating to introduce automation into replenishment. Looking at the Stapp order itself allows us to do a lot more with backorder management, with pricing, and with the overall handling of orders. So here you can see a typical Stapp order. The customer's customer called Extender Home. It's for a credit account. If this was a credit card customer, then the order would eventually lead us towards the integration with Stripe. In this instance, this will create a normal sales invoice within the Sage Financials environment, which will then be sent to the customer to be paid as they're an account customer. So we're also identifying contacts, price books, and currencies for transactions, and different elements, shipping charges, any particular codes that we want to use for shipment. And we also have a feature of text blocks here where there is text that's often similar text entered multiple times. Then we make it easier for the user to maintain standard text and just highlight what they would like to appear on the documentation that will be produced. We can also create package measurements here. The system itself will automatically be collecting information about weight and storing that for use in selecting a carrier. But we can also include package measurements here and other items that might need to be identified for export orders and will appear on export order documentation as required. We support multiple shipment addresses for the same customer. So shipment addresses are available here, and we can see also shipment addresses and billing addresses which are available at the beginning of the order process. What we're seeing here is an edit, not an entry of an initial order. We can then look at the items that are available. So we've selected here a brick trowel. We want 50 brick trowels. The ordered quantity here is 50. And we've selected 10 English oak trees, and the quantity here is 10. So this is the current status of the order for this customer Extender Home. Once the order's been saved, then we move through into the packaging environment. So we use that same SO number. So here, this is the Stapp order number, and the Stapp order number is used to identify the order for packaging, and we can bring it in here now. We want 50 brick trowels, we want 10 trees, and we have the option at this point either for the system to auto-pick from a first in, first out basis, we'll automatically pick the stock, or if we want to, we can select the stock individually. So selecting stock individually allows us to go into the system, look at the stock lines that are available, and decide which one we'd like to pick it from. So we want to take 50 from here, and we'll take the whole 50 from this line. We could take 40 from this line, 10 from this line, etc. So this is useful for scenarios where you may have food or pharmaceutical, medical type of environments where customers may be requesting specific lot numbers or specific expiry dates. And indeed, if these are serialized products, then they would individually be identified with their serial numbers, and we could allocate a specific serial number to a specific customer. So that one we've now selected. With English oak trees, we'll let the system automatically pick those, and we'll move that status now from the it's already at ready, so that's absolutely fine. So that package is now ready for shipment. At this point, we can just say save and ship the completed package. So the package has now been created. That's giving us the opportunity to identify a carrier, and we can also identify the waybill here. We can change that status to delivered. Sorry, we'll change the status to shipped. And when we save that, that will then send that package on its way, and that will create this sales invoice within the native Sage Financials environment for that shipment. Looking at the rest of the system, we have many other features. One I can just show you very briefly is the manufacturing piece. Here we have a very basic recipe. This recipe is for the production of concrete blocks. We're going to produce 1,000 concrete blocks. We can identify dependent recipes if necessary. We haven't done that here. And then we have 3 elements that we can specify. First of all, the product components. So those would typically be raw materials, although we can have raw materials, intermediates, and finished goods, and all of those can be sold to the end customer if that's appropriate for the business concerned. So we're specifying here product components. We can also have packaging materials, so primary packaging, secondary packaging, or any other packaging requirement. And these are also identified as products within the system. And then we can have additional products here, and these additional products would typically be labour or transport costs that we wanted to include in the overall manufacturing costs within this recipe. So that is a static recipe. It can be used many, many times. It can be cloned and adapted for changing conditions. So in addition to the recipes, then we have the manufacturing run itself. So each manufacturing run starts off with the initial status, which is planning. So we plan a manufacturing run, and what we do is we plan what we're going to create, and what we're creating here is a product called cement bricks. So those cement bricks will be created using a recipe called concrete block. Normally, the recipe is for 1,000 concrete blocks. We want to manufacture 3,000 here, so the quantity we need here is 3. So what we do is then move through the different phases. So first of all, we go through planning, then we have date confirmed, and then we go immediately into stock reservation. After stock reservation, if we need to, we can cancel that stock reservation so the stock's available again. And the final status is produced, which is when the manufacturing run is complete. So the different statuses will give us a different insight into the products that we are using at the time. So initially we're looking at the product components. We need 300 kilos of eco-building cement, and we need 3,000 litres of water. This is, as I say, is a very simplistic recipe. What that's going to do then is to take the current pricing, actual prices for those products, and it's just going to summarize that here. When it goes to reserve the stock, the system will show you exactly where it's taking the stock from. If there is a zone and a bin, it will give it to you here. What it's saying here is I'm going to take 300 kilos of eco-building cement, and I'm taking it from Brighton inventory location A001, and we know that stock line came in at a price of £13.13 per kilo. So we're going to pick up 300 of those, and we're going to pick up 3,000 litres of water, and that has a unit price of 70 pence per litre. So that will be picked, and that will be the basis for the manufacturing run. It's also available as a PDF for a more complex manufacturing run. Once the manufacturing is complete, the stock movement will be created. That stock movement will then create in fact 3,000 bricks here. The total price will be 2013, which is all the costs of the elements all added together. So that gives a unit price of 2013 per 1,000. We have a batch number that we've allocated here and an expiry date. And at this point, we can take the finished goods and we can move it to different storage locations. So we could put 1,000 bricks in the Brighton warehouse. We could put another 2,000 in the London warehouse, for instance. So that's a very basic overview of manufacturing. You'll see a lot more of this and details of the other elements that I've shown you in the Stapp portfolio in subsequent videos, which you'll need to look at and see separately. So as I mentioned before, if you'd like to contact us for more information, then please call Stuart Mills on 07920 235 565 or contact sales@apptituda.com or pre-sales@apptituda.com. Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing from you.